Ladies, good morning. Pour yourself a cup of coffee, wrap yourself in your favorite blanket, and let's have a heart-to-heart. I'm Amanda Brown, and today I want to touch on a very prickly, almost forbidden word. A word that was thrown at our mothers and grandmothers when they dared to want something for themselves. That word is selfish. We were taught from childhood that being a good woman meant being convenient, reliable, and putting the needs of others before our own. We were mothers, wives, daughters, employees, neighbors, anything but ourselves. We wiped away tears, cooked dinners, sat with sick children, listened to friends' complaints, and said yes when everything inside us screamed no. And we believed that this was our purpose. I remember my mother. She was the embodiment of self-sacrifice. She would get up before dawn to bake fresh bread, be the last one to sit at the table after making sure everyone was fed, and never buy herself a new dress if my brother and I had worn out shoes. She was a saint, and she was deeply unhappy. I saw it in her tired eyes in the evenings when she sat in silence, as if she had lost herself in an endless series of other people's needs. She never made it to California, a trip she dreamed of her whole life. She never learned to play the piano. She lived her life for others. And when she passed away, I realized I knew almost nothing about her dreams, her fears, about what lit the fire in her soul. When I turned 60 myself, I looked at my life and saw, with horror, a reflection of my mother's. My calendar was filled with other people's appointments. I was baking cupcakes for the church bake sale, even though I hated baking. I had agreed to lead the neighborhood improvement committee because no one else would do it. I was watching my grandkids every weekend, postponing the trip to the little cabin by the lake I had been dreaming of all winter. And in that moment, I realized if I don't become selfish right now, I risk repeating my mother's fate. I risk living a life without ever getting to know myself. So ladies, today we're going to talk about the power of the selfish woman, about why, after 60, putting yourself first isn't a whim, but a necessity. It's an act of supreme self-respect and, strangely enough, love for those around us. I'm going to tell you about the habits that I and other wise women have given up to finally find freedom and happiness. And I promise you, the last point on our list is the very key that will unlock the door to your best years. If you're ready for this honest and perhaps uncomfortable conversation, stay with me. First, the selfish woman masters the art of saying no. This is the hardest and most important one. We women, especially of my generation, were programmed for yes. Yes, I'll watch the grandkids. Yes, I'll take on that project. Yes, I'll bake 3 dozen pies. We said yes out of fear of offending, out of a desire to be needed, out of a sense of duty ingrained in our very being. My friend Susan from Ohio was the queen of compliance. She has 3 grown children, 7 grandchildren, and they all considered her their personal emergency service. If her daughter's car broke down in the middle of the night, they called Susan. If her son needed a last-minute babysitter because he and his wife decided to go to the movies, they called Susan. She would cancel her own plans, her doctor's appointments, her quiet evenings with a book because they're counting on me. By the time she was 65, she was a bundle of nerves with high blood pressure and chronic fatigue. One day, she called me in tears. Her daughter had again asked her to watch the kids for the entire weekend because she and her husband were going to a friend's wedding. But Susan had a trip to a crafts fair planned for that weekend, something she had been looking forward to all year. "I just can't say no to her, Amanda," she sobbed. "She'll be so upset. She'll say I don't love her." "Honey," I told her then, "do you love yourself? Do you love yourself enough not to betray your own dreams? Your daughter is a grown woman. She can find a babysitter. But no one can give you back the joy of this trip. It was a tough conversation. But Susan gathered her courage and, for the first time in her life, told her daughter, "Sweetheart, I love you all very much, but I have my own plans this weekend." What happened next? Her daughter got upset. She pouted. She didn't speak to her for 2 days. And then she called back and said, "Mom, you're right. I just got used to you always being there. Have a wonderful trip." From that day on, Susan started practicing no, a polite, loving, but firm no. And you know what? Her health improved, she found time for herself, and, most surprisingly, her children began to appreciate her help much more when it was no longer a given. Ladies, after 60, your time and energy are the most precious currency you have. Stop handing it out to everyone. Saying no isn't selfishness. It's establishing healthy boundaries. You can't pour from an empty pitcher. Fill yours first. Second, the selfish woman spends money on herself without guilt. Let's be honest. How many times have you stood in a store holding a beautiful blouse or a bottle of expensive perfume and told yourself, "Oh no, that's too expensive. I better buy my grandson a new toy." We're used to skimping on ourselves, first for the sake of the children, then for the grandchildren, and then just out of habit, saving for a rainy day that never seems to come. I remember going to the mall a few years ago and seeing a stunning cashmere sweater in a window display. Soft, the color of morning mist. I touched it, and it felt like a cloud. But then I saw the price tag and snatched my hand back as if from a fire. Too much of a luxury, I told myself. That same day, I spent almost as much on a new Lego set for my grandson and designer sneakers for my daughter. I left the mall with bags, but no joy. That evening, as I was cleaning out my closet, I came across an old dress of my mother's. She had barely worn it, saving it for a special occasion, she used to say. That special occasion never came. And in that moment, a thought struck me. My life is the special occasion. I don't want to spend the rest of my days saving joy for later. The next day, I went back to the store and bought that sweater. And you know what? Every time I wear it, I don't feel guilt. I feel love. Love for myself. A selfish woman understands that her comfort and her joy are not luxuries, but investments in her own well-being. She won't spend money recklessly, but she won't deny herself what truly brings her pleasure. It could be a quality pair of shoes that are comfortable to walk in, a good mattress that provides a healthy night's sleep, a trip to a place she's always dreamed of visiting. Please understand, my dears, you have worked your whole life. You sacrificed, you saved, you cared. Now is your time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Don't leave your dreams and desires to gather dust on a shelf like my mother's special occasion dress. Wear your joy today. Third, the selfish woman delegates or lets go of thankless chores. How many hours of our lives have we spent on tasks that no one notices, but that drain so much of our energy? Perfectly ironed sheets that will be wrinkled after the first night? Silverware polished to a mirror shine that's only brought out once a year for Thanksgiving? We did it because our mothers did it, because it was the thing to do. I was the queen of ironing. Every Saturday, I would stand at the ironing board for hours, turning piles of laundry into perfectly flat rectangles, sheets, pillowcases, kitchen towels, even my husband's socks. It was my ritual, my meditation, as I convinced myself. But in reality, it was a pointless waste of time that left my back aching and gave me no energy for a walk. One day, my friend, a French woman named Sophie, came to visit and found me in the middle of this activity. She looked at me with genuine horror. "Amanda, ma chérie," she exclaimed, "what are you doing? Life is too short to iron sheets." And she was absolutely right. From that day on, I declared war on meaningless household chores. I stopped ironing bed linens. And you know what? The world didn't end. My husband didn't even notice the difference. I stopped polishing the silver forks to a mirror shine. A light buff before the holiday is more than enough. And now I hire professionals to do the windows once every 6 months. A selfish woman audits her responsibilities and ruthlessly gets rid of anything that brings neither joy nor real benefit. She understands that her energy is a finite resource, and spending it to create the illusion of a perfect home is a crime against herself. What can you do today? Make a list of all the household chores you do regularly. Now answer 2 questions honestly. Is this really necessary? And does this bring me pleasure? If the answer to both is no, cross that task off your list. Or find a way to delegate it. Ask your children to help, hire a helper for a few hours a week, free up your time for what's truly important, for walks, for hobbies, for connecting with those you love. Believe me, no one will love you less for having imperfectly ironed pillowcases. 4th, the selfish woman invests in her style and comfort. Ladies, let's talk about how we dress. As we age, many women fall into the trap of comfortable clothes. We start wearing shapeless cardigans, baggy elastic waist pants, and bulky orthopedic shoes. We tell ourselves that comfort is what matters most. And that's true. But comfort should not be synonymous with invisibility. A selfish woman after 60 refuses to become invisible. She understands that her style is a way of telling the world, I'm still here, I'm interesting, I'm full of life. She doesn't try to chase youth trends, but she also doesn't hide herself in shapeless muumuus from Walmart. She finds her own elegant and, most importantly, comfortable style. This means she ruthlessly gets rid of clothes that don't fit, are uncomfortable, or simply don't bring her joy. She understands that it's better to have 5 perfectly fitting items than a closet full of, I'll wear it someday. She invests in quality basics, a well-tailored blazer that instantly gives her look structure, a pair of perfectly fitting trousers in a good fabric, a cashmere sweater that will keep her warm for years. And oh yes, she finds a good bra. Ladies, I cannot overstate the importance of this. A properly fitted bra doesn't just support your bust. It changes your entire posture, makes your waist look visually slimmer, and makes any outfit fit better. It's a small detail that works wonders. She is also not afraid of color. She knows that pastels and washed-out tones can make her face look tired, while rich, deep colors, emerald, sapphire, ruby, make her skin glow. She uses accessories, a beautiful silk scarf, elegant earrings, a stylish handbag to complete her look. Putting yourself first when it comes to style means stopping dressing for others and starting to dress for yourself. It's about choosing clothes that reflect your personality and make you feel confident and beautiful. Because when you feel good in what you're wearing, you stand up straighter, you smile more often, and you radiate an energy that is ageless. 5th, the selfish woman protects her personal space and time. Our homes and our time are our sanctuaries, but how often do we let others invade them without an invitation? Grown children who think they can drop by at any moment because mom's always home, friends who call late at night to unload their problems on you, grandchildren who leave a trail of chaos behind them. A selfish woman understands that her home is her fortress and her personal time is sacred. She sets clear but loving boundaries. An acquaintance of mine, Helen from New Jersey, turned into a 24/7 support center for her entire large family after she retired. Her home was no longer her own. It was a drop-in center, a storage unit for things her children didn't want to keep at their places, and a playground for the grandkids. She loved them all, but by the evening she felt completely wrung out. She couldn't read in peace because someone was always watching TV. She couldn't spontaneously go away for the weekend because what if someone needs something? One day, she decided to stage a rebellion. She called a family meeting and calmly said, I love you all very much, but from now on, there are new rules in my house. Please call before you come over. After 9 p.m., I won't be answering phone calls unless it's an emergency. And on Sundays, I'm having a day of silence, just me and my books. At first, the family was in shock. But Helen was firm. And what do you think happened? They got used to it. They started to value the time they spent with her more. And Helen, she fell in love with her home all over again. Protecting your space and time isn't about pushing people away. It's about teaching them to respect your needs. Establish calling hours. Let friends and family know that you're available for long chats, for example, between 5 and 7 p.m. Don't be afraid to let it go to voicemail. You are not obligated to be on call 24/7. Create your own rituals. Announce that, for instance, Tuesday morning is your time for the museum, and it's non-negotiable. Don't let your home become a storage unit. Politely but firmly ask your children to retrieve their old belongings. I need this space, dears. Your right to peace, quiet, and personal time is not a whim. It's the foundation of your mental well-being, and no one will protect it but you. Ladies, we are halfway through. How are you feeling? Perhaps a little uncomfortable with the word selfish? Let's replace it with self-respecting. A self-respecting woman says no to extra obligations, spends money on her own joy, gets rid of pointless chores, values her style, and protects her personal space. This isn't about becoming callous and indifferent. It's about ceasing to be a resource for everyone and becoming a source for yourself. We still have a few more important steps ahead. They concern our relationships, our thoughts, and most importantly, our right to dream. So take another sip of coffee and let's continue, because the most liberating part is just beginning. Sixth, the selfish woman stops being a rescuer for everyone. We women are natural-born rescuers. We want to help everyone. Our adult children with their marital problems, our friends with their financial difficulties, our neighbors with their unruly teenagers. We listen, give advice, worry, and sometimes even try to fix everything. The habit of shouldering everyone else's emotional baggage is one of the most draining. My sister, who lives in Arizona, has always been like this. Her adult son constantly complained to her about his job, his wife, his lack of money. She would spend hours on the phone with him, trying to find solutions, and then lie awake at night worrying about him. Eventually, she ended up on the verge of a nervous breakdown herself, with high blood pressure and constant headaches. After 60, we must understand one crucial thing. We are not responsible for the happiness of other adults, even if they are our children. We can love them, support them, listen to them, but we cannot live their lives for them or carry their problems on our shoulders. A selfish woman gives up the role of rescuer. This doesn't mean being heartless. It means being wise. It's understanding that everyone has their own path and their own lessons to learn. Your job is not to solve other people's problems, but to maintain your own peace and emotional stability. How do you do this in practice? Listen, but don't get entangled. When your adult child calls with another complaint, say, "I'm sorry you're going through this. I'm sure you'll find a right solution." Express support, but don't offer ready-made action plans. Don't give unsolicited advice. Often, people just need to vent. Do you just want me to listen, or are you looking for my advice? Stop feeling guilty for their failures. Their choices are their responsibility. You gave them everything you could when they were children. Now they must learn from their own mistakes. When you stop being a rescuer for everyone, you gain the strength to be a pillar for yourself. And paradoxically, this makes you a better mother and friend. You become a source of calm and wisdom, not anxiety and fuss. Seventh, the selfish woman doesn't fear loneliness, but enjoys solitude. Society instills in us, especially women, a fear of being alone. It's believed that a woman, particularly an older one, must be surrounded by family, a husband, grandchildren, and if she's by herself, something must be wrong with her. She's lonely and unhappy. That is a lie, ladies. A selfish woman after 60 understands the vast difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness and abandonment. Solitude is a conscious choice to be with oneself, and it can be a source of immense strength and joy. After my husband passed away, I went through a period of acute loneliness. The house felt deafeningly quiet. I didn't know what to do with my evenings. I clung to any excuse not to be alone. But over time, I began to discover the beauty of solitude. I realized I no longer had to negotiate with anyone about what movie to watch. I could turn up my favorite music full blast and dance in the middle of the living room. I could drive to the woods for a whole day with a thermos of tea and just sit, listening to the silence. I learned to be good company for myself. I became my own anchor. Putting yourself first means ceasing to fear the silence in your home and starting to cherish it. Create your solitude rituals. It could be a morning cup of coffee in silence, an evening bath by candlelight, or a solo Sunday trip to a museum. Travel alone. Start small, a weekend trip to a nearby town. You'll be amazed at how much you discover not only about the world, but also about yourself. Find a hobby that doesn't require company. Painting, writing, gardening, playing a musical instrument, these are all wonderful ways to enjoy time alone. When you stop being afraid of being alone, you gain true freedom. You no longer cling to toxic relationships out of fear of loneliness. You enter new relationships not because you need someone, but because you want to be with that person. And that, my dears, changes everything. Eighth, the selfish woman gives up the role of keeper of family traditions if they become a burden. We women are often the keepers of traditions. We're the ones who remember all the birthdays, organize the big family holidays, bake that special apple pie from Grandma's recipe, and make sure everyone gathers for Thanksgiving. It's a beautiful and important role, but sometimes it becomes an unbearable burden. I always adored Christmas, but over the years, preparing for it turned from a joy into a source of stress. Cleaning the huge house, buying gifts for 20 people, cooking a turkey and 10 different appetizers. By the evening of December 25th, I was so exhausted that my only wish was for everyone to leave as soon as possible. I realized I had become a hostage to a tradition I myself had created. So a couple of years ago, I did the unthinkable. In early December, I gathered my children and announced, "My dears, this year Christmas will be different. I will no longer be cooking the holiday dinner. Instead, I propose that everyone brings one dish to share, and I won't be buying gifts for everyone. Let's do a secret Santa instead." At first, there was silence, then murmurs. "But Mom, it's a tradition." "Yes," I replied, "but I want to love Christmas again, not just survive it." And you know what happened? That Christmas was the best one in 20 years. The table was laden with a variety of dishes. We laughed while playing Secret Santa. And me, for the first time in years, I sat among my family, relaxed and happy, simply enjoying the moment. A selfish woman understands that traditions should serve people, not the other way around. If a tradition has become a source of stress rather than joy for you, you have every right to change it or cancel it. Pass the torch. Suggest that your adult children take turns hosting the big family holidays at their homes. Simplify. Instead of 10 dishes, make 3 of your absolute favorites. Instead of a mountain of gifts, choose one meaningful one. Create new traditions that suit you now. Maybe instead of a noisy feast, the whole family will go for a walk or to the movies. Your job is not to carry the weight of the past, but to create joyful memories in the present. And sometimes that requires a bit of healthy selfishness. Ninth, the selfish woman stops worrying about what other people think of her. The time and energy we've wasted on this habit. We didn't buy the bright dress because what will the neighbors say? We didn't voice our opinion so as not to seem like a show-off. We gave up on a dream because it's ridiculous at my age. We lived our lives looking over our shoulder for the approval of people who, frankly, couldn't care less about us. After 60, we finally earn the right to live for ourselves. We've lived for others long enough. A selfish woman stops seeking approval and starts living according to her own desires. My acquaintance, Helen, had dreamed her whole life of traveling alone. But her adult children would say, "Mom, it's dangerous. What will people think?" And she would put her dream on hold. At 68, she finally decided to do it. She bought a ticket to Italy. She spent a month there, walking through Rome, enjoying the art in Florence, and tasting pasta in small villages. When she returned, she was a different person, radiant and incredibly happy. "You know, Amanda," she told me, "I realized that the only opinion that matters is my own. My only regret is not figuring this out 20 years sooner." Ladies, stop wasting your precious life trying to meet other people's expectations. Want to dye your hair purple? Go for it. Want to sell your house and live in an RV? Do it. Want to learn to dance the tango? Sign up for lessons today. Those who judge you are not your people, and your people will support you no matter what. 10th, the selfish woman gives herself permission to dream. And here is the most important point, the one that underlies all the others. For a long time, we lived by a script: school, marriage, children, work, grandchildren, retirement. In this script, there was no room for big dreams after 60. It was assumed our part was played, and all that was left was to live out our days quietly, helping our children and grandchildren. This is the biggest and cruelest lie we have been told. A selfish woman after 60 tears that script to shreds. She understands that her life isn't over. A new chapter is just beginning, and she has every right to write whatever she wants in it. I know a woman who enrolled in a university at 67 and earned a degree in art history, something she had dreamed of since she was young. I know another who, at 72, opened a small bakery and now makes the best cinnamon rolls in the entire state. I know a man who went skydiving for the first time at 80. They are not too old for this. They are finally free enough for this. They have time, they have wisdom, and they no longer fear the opinions of others. To put yourself first is to give yourself permission for a big, bold, perhaps improper for your age, dream. What have you always wanted? Not what you could have done, not what you should have done, but what you truly wanted. Make a list, uncensored. What's stopping you? Most often, it's not money or health. Most often, it's fear and the phrase, "it's too late." Take one small step. You don't have to conquer Everest right away. Just buy a book about Nepal. Sign up for one Spanish lesson. Call your local volunteer organization. Life after 60 is not a waiting room. It's a launch pad. You have a wealth of experience behind you and precious time ahead of you. Don't waste it trying to meet others' expectations. Spend it fulfilling your own dreams. This is the most beautiful and the most correct selfishness you can afford. Ladies, we've reached the end of our conversation. 10 steps toward a healthy, loving selfishness. To stop pleasing everyone and learn to say no. To spend money on yourself. To let go of meaningless chores. To invest in your style. To protect your space. To stop being a rescuer. to enjoy solitude, to change burdensome traditions, to ignore the opinions of others, and finally, to dream big. Perhaps this sounds radical. Perhaps that good girl is still inside you, afraid of offending or disappointing someone. But I want you to understand, putting yourself first doesn't mean elbowing everyone aside and stepping on people. It means finally turning to face yourself, embracing the woman you've ignored for so long, and telling her, "My dear, it's your turn now. Your desires matter. Your dreams are important. Your happiness is my top priority." When you do this, you will not only find yourself, but you will also become the best version of yourself for everyone you love. You will become a source not of fatigue and sacrifice, but of strength, joy, and inspiration. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and share it with a friend who might need to hear this. This is Amanda Brown. Take care of yourselves and cherish each other. You deserve it. See you soon.